The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
Mrs. Adelson? How you doing? Just want to give you this.
Can I ask you, is someone blackmailing you?
No, it's always a possibility.
I said to Harvey, I swear to God, our family was cursed.
Oh, when did they issue a warrant?
One moment, Miss Adelson. Please keep your comments to yourself.
All eyes are on Florida this morning as we're counting down to Mama Donna's day in court. So what can we expect at the final hearing before trial? And the Tennessee family murder suspect making his first appearance in court since his capture, and the death penalty is being sought. Plus, free Sarah Grace? We're looking ahead to the bond hearing for the teenager accused of shooting her parents to death. Also this hour, victim Mindy Casotis' parents both take the stand. Could their testimony tip the scales of justice in the dismembered wife murder trial? It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Friday morning to you and welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. This is the show where we get you all warmed up and ready to go for the big day ahead on Court TV Live. I like to say it's kind of like coffee and court, and we're so glad you're with us this morning. Let's kick it off as we always do. Grab that cup of coffee. It's time for my opening statement. Some people just belong in jail. Before their trial, before a final disposition, some people are way too dangerous to be walking among us. And sometimes those dangerous monsters don't look like monsters. Like in the case of Sarah Grace Patrick, the 17-year-old Georgia teen who's accused of murdering her parents and then turning to TikTok for sympathy. This little alleged monster is seeking bond ahead of her upcoming trial. The court should deny that request and keep her locked up. For multiple reasons, I say this, my friends. Number one, she's arguably a danger to society. She has a younger sister as well who discovered her parents were murdered. And that poor child doesn't need to be traumatized any further or have her safety put in jeopardy. Number two, she needs to be forced by the court to comply with any recommended mental health treatment. I guarantee you that the court already ordered her to undergo a mental health evaluation, and if she's in custody, she'll be forced to comply with any recommended treatment. And if these facts alleged are true, this girl is in much need of treatment. And number three, the charges against her are as serious as they come. Police believe she shot her mom, Kristen Brock, and her stepfather, James Brock, to death while they were sleeping in their bed. Now, the allegation here against this child is 2 premeditated murders, made even worse then by what happened allegedly after the fact. Allegations of her trying to socially engineer the court of public opinion on TikTok. So for all these reasons, I say keep her in, keep her watched, and keep her away from her little sister. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. We'll be talking more about Sarah Grace coming up later in the show. But right now, it's time for your daily docket.
What's next, Mr. Palmer?
We'll get some pizza.
Get some pizza? Good luck, man. Take it easy.
In Montana, we've got that brand new video of Jordan Palmer leaving the detention center last night after he was acquitted of homicide. Deliberate homicide is the charge in Montana, and the shooting death of his neighbor, Stephen Campbell. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours' time. So the question in that one, was it justifiable? They found that it was. All right, so he goes free and goes to get his pizza. In Georgia, we've got the state's case continuing in the dismembered wife murder trial for defendant Nicholas Casotis. Court gets underway at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And in Florida, we're going to be taking you to Mama Donna Adelson's final hearing set for 9 a.m. this morning ahead of her upcoming trial. She's being accused of not only being the matriarch, but being the mastermind behind a murder. Court's going to start up in about an hour from now. What can we expect to happen?
I've gained more than a third of my body weight here.
The diet is all carbs, no protein. I don't have any antibiotic cream, and I don't have a Band-Aid. Borrowing sanitary pads. She said, "You're going to buy me commissary. You don't snitch. You don't tell on anyone because you'll be sorry you did."
Donna Adelson is accused of being the mastermind behind the plot to kill her daughter's ex-husband, law professor Danny Markell. His murder happened back in 2014. Her son, Charlie, very prominent dentist in the area, is behind bars now, already serving a life sentence after being convicted in this plot. 3 other people have been convicted as well. Jury selection is going to start up on August 19th. The final hearing is today, and it's going to be focused on several different filings from her defense team. They want to try to limit certain testimony and certain pieces of evidence. What are they talking about here? We're going to bring in now somebody who knows the case very well, Court TV digital producer Lauren Silver. Thanks for coming on this morning, Lauren. All right, Mama Donna, her team's trying to keep some stuff out. What exactly don't they want the jury to hear about?
Well, there's plenty they don't want the jury to hear about. But at this hearing, they're going to be focused on a few different things. So, one, they are renewing their motion to exclude any evidence of flight as consciousness of guilt. If you remember, she was arrested on the jetway about to board a flight from Miami to Vietnam, which is a non-extradition country. So they want that to not be evidence of guilt. The other 2 motions are brand new. One is to suppress evidence tied to a quote-unquote new investigation. And they also want to exclude testimony from 2 investigators who are tied to said new investigation. So much of their fight today is going to be focused on this new investigation.
Ooh, okay, Lauren, what is this new investigation, dare we ask? What can you tell us about that?
Well, that's an excellent question. They certainly don't want us to know about the investigation. I can show you, this is what the motions look like. They are very redacted, lots of black marker. So we do know that this new investigation likely centers around some wiretaps that were done of Donna Adelson and involves some conversations with jailhouse informants. The state first disclosed the existence of this quote-unquote new investigation to the defense on April 7th, 2025. Now, Dan Markell was killed in 2014, so this is fairly new. There are 2 jailhouse informants. The names are redacted in most of the documents. We have a couple of names, but they're not very familiar to us. And the defense maintains that these informants' claims are either completely false or they could not be corroborated. We do know that one talked about Mrs. Adelson. We talked about Catherine Megbanua, who, of course, was convicted as part of this conspiracy. But none of the specifics about what were said is available because of the extensive redactions.
Geez Louise, yeah, they really don't want everybody in the public to know what's going on here. And I know you always dig through the docket, Lauren. Any response from the state that you might have seen, or have they filed anything yet?
Nothing at all. They have stood by these investigators. They have allowed updated depositions. As recently as 2 days ago, I believe they were doing more depositions of these investigators. So they're determined to get this, evidence in, but haven't said what it is. I'm interested to see in this hearing if it's going to be said in open court.
I know, we are too. 9 a.m. Eastern, our cameras will be there for it all. Lauren Silver, thank you for giving us the preview today. You're the best. And friends at home, check out Lauren's great work on courttv.com. Let's talk about this now with our legal eagles. So pleased to have on the program this morning high-profile trial attorney Ben Chu, famously represented Johnny Depp. We got to see him in action here on Court TV. And criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor David Bruno, who joins us every Friday morning. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Wonderful to see you both. All right, so Ben, let me start with you, please. What do you think about the state of Florida not offering Donna Adelson a deal? A lot of people have been talking about this in the true crime community because there was buzz that maybe there was going to be a deal and maybe that she rejected it, but the state came firmly out and said, oh no, we never offered her anything. What are your thoughts on that, please, Ben?
Well, first, it's great to see you again, Julie. I think the fact that they did not offer her a deal suggests that they are very confident in their case, and so they don't need to give her a deal.
Great point. I mean, and they've done it before, right? We know that they've tried first the gangbangers, then the girlfriend, then the dentist Charlie, her son, now Mama Donna. They keep working their way up the ladder, so to speak. And maybe they're not done after this. David Bruno, the flight is consciousness of guilt instruction. Lauren Silver was just talking about with us. You were a prosecutor. What are the odds here you think the state of Florida gets that instruction they want?
Yeah, you know, there's a saying, sometimes the cover-up is worse than the substantive crime itself, especially when it comes in as consciousness of guilt. And she's got problems on this. I mean, not only was she there with a one-way ticket to Vietnam, which does not have extradition to the United States, but she's also on the jailhouse recording talking about it as well, fleeing. So now she wants to say, oh, that was just her trying to get peace, which may be her position, maybe their arguments, but I really see it as an issue of fact for the fact finder. To get this out on just a claim that it wasn't consciousness of guilt is definitely not going to be enough. And it's coming in. And then this new investigation also is going to be something about these informants after the fact about cover-up and witness tampering. So it also goes into the same common thread as the consciousness of guilt. And it's piling up on her, and then you look at the after conduct of consciousness of guilt, and that's why the prosecutors are stacking up this evidence and feeling so good about their case.
A great analysis, David. Thank you. Ben Chu, let me turn back to you, please. A lot of people are wondering about the Adelson children. There are 3 of them, of course. We know Wendy, we know Charlie. There's a 3rd son who reportedly has really distanced himself from the family. Personally feel sorry for him. He's got to be disgusted by all of this. But he may come in and testify. We don't know. Your best guess, Ben, do you think we'll see all of the Adelson children at one point or another?
I think perhaps, although Wendy may not show up, because of course she's probably next in the hierarchy, you know, in the crosshairs, as you put it. So we may not see her. It'll be an interesting family dynamic if she testifies in her mother's trial.
I know, definitely. It seems like the prosecutors want Wendy. David, what do you think about that? Do you get that that feeling based on what they're doing and the way this has gone, that they're aiming for her next?
I mean, this is a constant conversation when we talk about these cases. And, you know, she definitely wants to stay as far away from the courtroom as she possibly can, right? Because they haven't had enough up to this point, which is shocking to me, because Wendy is the one that had the most to gain from this particular conspiracy. She had the fight about custody, and really that's sort of the initial motivation for all of this. And I just wonder, what are they waiting for if they have it? Because I don't see them getting it from this case coming out. So is it going to happen? Who knows? I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Right, David. I'm definitely with you on that. I keep thinking the other shoe's going to drop, and so far it hasn't. But we'll see. I have this feeling that something will happen during the trial. You both know, being such seasoned trial attorneys, anything can happen when you step in the courtroom. I just have this feeling something's going to happen with respect to Wendy that will lead to charging. Of course, we're thinking about Dan Markell, the victim in all of this. 2014, summer of 2014 when this happened. We'll leave the conversation here until 9 a.m. when Donna's in court. And Ben Chu and David Bruno are coming with us. Friends at home, do the same, please. Here's what's still to come on opening statements.
Prior to being taken in on these charges, sir, were you working anywhere?
I had a business, federal-run business, kids' parties, reptile shows, decorations, stuff like that.
The man accused in the Tennessee family massacre being arraigned, and the prosecution already announcing they're seeking the death penalty. Plus, should TikTok teen Sarah Grace be let out? We're looking ahead to her bond hearing.
The Court TV podcast will return.
Now for what's trending in true crime, prosecutors plan to seek the death penalty for the man accused of killing 4 family members. And we also found out about how these victims were killed. Defendant Austin Drummond appearing via Zoom for his arraignment Thursday, where he pleaded not guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder. In reading the charges, the judge revealed the victims were shot to death. Let's take a listen to the prosecutor.
Your Honor, at this time, the state intends to seek the death penalty. This is a capital case. We're asking that he be held without bond. In addition to that, he has a bond out of circuit court. We have filed motions to revoke those bonds. That will be heard later in the month of August in circuit court.
The bodies of 20-year-old Adriana Williams, 21-year-old James Wilson, they were the parents of the baby, and 38-year-old Courtney Rose, the grandma, and 15-year-old Braden Williams were found in a wooded area in Lake County, Tennessee. The baby, thankfully found safe but abandoned in a car seat 45 minutes away on the front lawn of some random home. So this morning, we're asking, what disturbs you the most about this case and about this defendant? Hit us up on social media with your answers. Let's bring back in our legal eagles, attorneys David Bruno and Ben Chu on the program. I want to ask you both the same question. What disturbs you the most about this case? David, would you start us off, please?
Well, just at that bond hearing, when asked whether or not he has a career, he was talking about blowing up balloons at child's birthday parties and festivities. That's number one. Because it's not just this allegation. He was just recently released from prison, and he was out on bail on an attempted murder case in prison as well. He's got a criminal history that includes various different things like robbery, threats against jurors, and got this outstanding attempted murder. So not only did he kill these 4 people, he's got this history, and also he's around kids for his job. That's what concerns me, other than the allegations.
Yeah, it really is concerning. Preach, David. I appreciate all of that. Ben Chu, what disturbs you the most about this case and about this defendant, please?
I'm with David. I can't believe that he was let out on bond for an attempted murder charge. That really opened the door for these horrible crimes to occur.
It did, Ben. I'm with you and David on that. I was popping off about it when I heard about it. As soon as we played the clip after that press conference, it was earlier this week. My jaw was on the floor. I'm thinking, how in the world? Like, you both know, it is insane that somebody who's a member of the Vice Lords gang, who just did a stint, 10 years for the aggravated robbery and then more years for intimidating the jury after the fact, and intimidating one of the victims, and he picks up an attempted homicide case and he gets a bond, in a percentage bond at that. Like, I mean, this was a no-brainer. Anybody who was watching that hearing would have known, oh, he's going to be able to post that and get back out. David Bruno, do you think that there's any reflection? You know, when I was a prosecutor, it was always my biggest nightmare. I wonder if it was for you too, for somebody to get let out who shouldn't be out, and then they go commit a crime, and then somebody says, did the DA object? You know, where were they in all this? And what about that judge? What was he or she thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially on those facts. When there's an allegation in a prison, someone's serving substantial prison time, there's got to be a second guessing on that decision, whether it's the prosecutor or the judge. It's definitely an inflection, an instinct to ask those particular questions. And unfortunately, oftentimes that's why people are held against those arguments, because the judges and the prosecutors, they fear what type of additional harm that defendants can bring after being released from serious crimes. So it's instinct and natural to even have these questions, and I just wonder what the answers are.
Yeah, most definitely. So many questions still unanswered. Of course, we know that. We now got a little more information about how this occurred. It was a shooting. We weren't quite sure up to this point how these victims were killed, and we know there was a relationship that existed previously. A family member of these victims spoke out publicly on Facebook and said, we were just stunned at this. We knew Austin Drummond. He was never anything but great with us. This is really, really shocking. What maybe wasn't shocking was what the DA did yesterday, announcing he's going to pursue the death penalty. Ben Chu, would really love to get your thoughts on that swift decision from him.
It's not a surprise, given the heinous acts and the fact that that he's left this little girl without a family, really, without her parents, without her grandfather, and without her uncle. I mean, it's really, if there's going to be a death penalty, this would seem to be a candidate.
Most definitely, that little baby. Ben, tapping into your civil expertise, do you think this is going to wind up in some kind of a legal fight with that baby, seeing that now she's orphaned and who might take care of her? I'm just envisioning a lot of headaches with that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Julie. I think that child is going to need an enormous amount of help, and I hope that the family or another family can kind of step in and provide a life for her, because right now she's completely bereft.
It's so true. God bless that little baby. I want to turn to something now that happened in the hearing, and David Bruno, you mentioned this, and we've got the clip about this guy who knew he used to run a balloon business. Let's take a listen to that moment together now.
I'm not going to be able to hire.
Okay. Sir, if you could, to the best of your ability, please raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is true, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You can put your hand down, sir. Mr. Drummond, prior to being taken in on these charges, sir, were you working anywhere?
I had a business, federal business, kids parties, reptile shows, decorations, stuff like that.
So you were self-employed, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
The gangster at the kids' parties. There, you heard it there for yourself, what David was talking about moments ago. We still don't know of any motive here. If this guy did these crimes as the state of Tennessee says he did, we don't know why. We know, as I said, one of the victims is related to Drummond's girlfriend. Now, will we ever know the why? Gosh, that seems to be a big theme in so many cases we've been talking about lately. Brian Kohberger comes to mind. You know, will we ever know the why in this one? David Bruno, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think we're going to learn more about this case than the Kohberger case on why, that's for sure. I still have problems with what happened over there in Idaho. But with that being said, prosecutors stood up and made an argument that this was a targeted murder, that he knew them through that family member and that he targeted them to do this particular thing. Not only that, but he abducted that infant, took her 45 minutes away from the family that was dead, and left that baby on a doorstep or in front of a house of just somebody that was completely unrelated. So many different questions as to why, and hopefully this prosecutor's office brings more answers on that question than the Kohberger prosecutor team.
Definitely, David. I sure hope so, too. Ben Chu, would you take us home, please, on this subject? Do you think we'll ever get the why behind these crimes?
I fear that we won't. I don't see him testifying, and it may end up like the Kohberger case. I certainly hope it won't. But I fear he has no incentive to let us know why he committed it.
Right. You know, and it makes me wonder, with this DA, I have a lot of faith in him, being that he was so swift. That first court date saying, we're going for the death penalty for this guy. I wonder if we're going to see a different prosecution here, just compared to Kohberger. And that's on top of mind, I think, for a lot of people, because we just saw it happen. We all were kind of living, you know, vicariously, our hearts breaking for those victims, and the fact that they didn't get any complete closure with all the answers. And so hopefully these victims' families can, and maybe that prosecutor will make him say something if he is the one who did this, and if he were to decide to plead. We'll leave it here for now. We'll keep following the progression of Austin Drummond's case. Ben Chu, David Bruno, stand by, please. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, here's what's coming up on Opening Statements.
I just can't imagine, you know, the accuracy that gun had in her hands. I don't think it could happen. I just don't think physically she could do it.
Should Sarah Grace Patrick be out on bond? The teenager accused of murdering her parents is set to make her first court appearance soon. Plus, victim Mindy Casotis' parents take the stand in the dismembered wife murder trial. Will what they said tip the scales of justice for the jury?
Did there come a time when something occurred to make you believe that there was a change in their marriage condition?
Yes, when they actually were sort of hiding out because we were told they feared for their lives.
Who told you that?
Mindy and Nick.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
An arrest has been made in the case. Kristen Brock's 17-year-old daughter, Sarah Grace Patrick, has been taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault in connection with the deaths of her mother and her stepfather.
Welcome back to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. So this morning, we're giving a voice to victims and talking about what's ahead for 17-year-old accused parent killer, Sarah Grace Patrick. We're looking ahead to her upcoming bond hearing, and police say that this 17-year-old shot and killed her mother, Kristen, and her stepfather, James Brock, at their Georgia home back in February. In public, just days after the murders, though, she delivered a heartfelt eulogy. The video was posted to Facebook by a family relative.
I just wanted to say goodbye to my mama and Jamie since we never got the chance to. I was so used to you guys always being here to the point that I never once thought to imagine y'all not being here. I didn't have a single clue how much I needed y'all until now. Although there's nothing we can do to bring them back, we still have control over how we treat people with us today. I love you guys, and so do I. And so do they. I'm sorry.
Now, that's not all. Sarah Grace also went to TikTok. That's right, she went to different true crime sleuths about her parents' murders. Take a look.
He doesn't know it, but a year from now, our family will be torn apart, and I will move far away and won't see or talk to him for 5 years. I'm feeling so tired.
Let's talk about this. We're days away from her bond hearing. Of course, she wants to be let out. You know how I feel about that. I told you right at the start of this show how I feel. But let's dive deeper into what kind of a potential danger this 17-year-old is. She's being charged as an adult. Let's talk about all of the different aspects at play here. Her behavior, what does it indicate? Does she need some serious treatment from here on out? Let's bring in our expert guests, criminology expert Dr. Debbie Goodman and psychology expert Dr. Sue Kornbluth. Good morning to you, ladies. Wonderful to have you on the show. Good morning. Let's start, please, with the criminology. Dr. Debbie, tell us what you see here with the behavior that's been alleged to have been done by this child.
Certainly, and good morning. You know, the optics of this case, Julie and Dr. Sue, I think that's what's really unsettling for a lot of people. We have this 17-year-old girl. We don't expect a child to be involved in a double homicide. What do we expect? A 17-year-old should be going to school, learning, growing, developing, setting goals, interacting with friends and such. So when it comes to should she be let out, I say absolutely not. And we do have, Julie, as you know, and Dr. Sue, the top reasons, if you will, in these kid killers' minds as to why potentially they would kill a parent, first of which, of course, is mental health, many of whom have severe depression, psychosis, neurosis, schizophrenia. Others are grappling with drug and or alcohol use, abuse, addiction. The third of which would be any type of abuse going on in the home, emotional, physical, sexual. And then lastly, and interestingly, is about dating. You know, sometimes these teenagers who want to date, the parents are either against dating, period, until a certain age, or they're not in favor of the individual with whom the child wants to date and interact. So I know we're always looking for a why. I think on this case, we will get the why, but I would not let her out. I think she's a danger to others and potentially to herself.
Dr. Debbie, thank you for the assessment. I really appreciate it. Let's turn to the psychology that was behind this. Dr. Sue, how we wish you could personally evaluate this child, 17 years old. It stuns me to think this has been allegedly carried out by a 17-year-old, but that is the allegation. What do you think could have been going on in this child's mind if she did what police say she did?
Good morning to both of you. You know, Dr. Debbie said a lot of good things right there that I agree with. But let me be clear on this. This is a young lady who has had tremendous trauma, it appears, in her life. So, you know, there was a contentious divorce going on with her parents. There were drugs and alcohol and all these things involved that I read about yesterday. My concern with her is that what she did on TikTok shows a need for excessive attention. And that is why I believe that she should not be let out on bail, because there are some severe mental health issues going on here that need to be evaluated. And she needs to be kept safe somewhere. And if that's in jail, then it's in jail to determine what is going on here. It seems to me that she was just living inside of her head, probably had no one to talk to about what was going on in her world. She was on the move a lot, going from home to home. We don't know what happened in her own home, if there was any kind of abuse. But like Dr. Debbie says, she could be a danger to others and to herself. So keeping her in jail right now is best for everyone.
Dr. Sue, thank you. Really appreciate the insights. I have a clip from Sarah Grace's grandfather. And Grandpa does not believe that she could have done this. And it's important to point out he was not in the home, so he is not a fact or witness to this case. This is somebody who's just kind of speaking to her character and saying, and here he talks about her experience with rifles, but not with handguns. Let's watch.
She was here, and whenever we shot guns, they were rifles. I never saw her shoot a pistol, but I just can't imagine, you know, the accuracy that gun had in her hands. I don't think it could happen.
Okay, Dr. Debbie Goodman. It was a handgun, according to police, not a rifle. That's why he's saying that. Your thoughts on this, you know, young lady's capabilities in terms of using a firearm to commit this homicide?
Yeah, absolutely. The capability is high, Julie, and we wouldn't necessarily think otherwise in terms of what the grandfather would say, what the father would say. Of course, as you, Dr. Sue, the Cordies, and I know, there will be denial. It's just a tough pill to swallow when the family members have been lost. What we know about victimology, primary, secondary, tertiary. Primary victims, of course, Mr. and Mrs. Brock. Secondary would be the grandfather, the father, extended family members who are grieving the loss of their loved ones. And then tertiary, the rest of us, because it's just so unsettling and disturbing, again, to think that any type of double homicide would take place. That alone is so shocking. And secondarily, that it would be at the hands of a child. But yes, Julie, one is capable when one sets the mind to it. We say in criminology, mens rea, actus reus. First, it's the intent to do the harm, to participate in the killing. And then secondly, would be the actus reus, actually taking the action.
Oh, that's great information. Dr. Debbie, thank you for that. I sure hope that someone from whomever worked this case, if it was the local sheriff's department, county police, whomever it was, I sure hope somebody swabbed her hands for gunshot residue. When she made that call and they respond, I sure hope that that was done. Don't know if it was, because remember, she placed the call after her younger sister, who was 6 at the time, found her parents shot to death in their bed. It appears this happened when they were sleeping. And then she made the 911 call. So the details are limited, as you ladies know. Dr. Sue, going to the fact that they were shot in their sleep, at least as we can tell, shot in their sleep in bed together, sounds like an ambush by somebody. What does that say psychologically?
Well, it's a great question, Julie. I think what it says is there was rage and anger, and perhaps it could have been plotted. And I feel, this is my opinion, that a lot of more information is going to come out about what was going on in this home. And I think you're going to find that there were tons of abuse going on. This is my gut feeling. I think, we talked about this case, I think a week or two ago, you and I said a lot more information was going to come out, and a lot more family dynamic information has come out now. And, she's innocent until proven guilty, but I think severe abuse can cause a child to snap, and possibly that is what happened here. And I think that she has been enraged since she was a little girl. I probably would bank on it that she felt her voice was never heard in this family, and that she erupted and possibly killed them. But we shall see. It's a very scary case.
It is very scary. And of course, we always value your insights, Dr. Sue and Dr. Debbie Goodman. Dr. Sue, to your points, I just have to give our little disclaimer here. We don't know, we at Court TV do not know if this child was abused in the home. We have no idea. This is Dr. Sue's theory. Just want to be clear on that. And we will wait and see what comes out the bond hearing, because that's something we'll be listening for. Something like that could very well be said. We shall see. We'll leave it here for now. Dr. Debbie Goodman, Dr. Sue Kornbluth, thank you both for making time to come on the show this morning. We appreciate you. And as we go to break, of course, we want to remember the victims in this case, James and Kristen Brock. The couple was in their 40s. They've been together for nearly 10 years. They were raising their 3 kids together. Their lives taken away way too soon. We'll be thinking about them as this process continues for their daughter. We'll be right back.
This is the Court TV podcast.
Welcome back. Could the victim's parents' testimony tip the scales of justice in the dismembered wife murder trial? Defendant Nicholas Casotis, a former Navy JAG, is accused of murdering and dismembering his second wife, Mindy, and her parents, Betsy and Frank Mebane, took the stand on Thursday. Betsy says that Nick told her that Mindy had died after he allegedly took her to a hospital because she wasn't feeling well, says it was a stroke. But oddly enough, the family never saw her body. And then months later, Betsy says she was notified that Nick had died in a terrible car crash. What?
At that point, did you believe that Mr. Casotis had passed away and died?
I absolutely did.
Okay. Did you have communications with any of their friends and family concerning his death? Or was it with them? Sorry.
Well...
One sec. Let me rephrase that.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you speak to anybody that you knew about his passing?
We called Cameron and her husband and told them, his friend Cameron, that they were both in their wedding.
Did you believe he was dead at that point?
Yes. So we were already grieving for Mindy, and then we were grieving for him.
Oh my, these poor parents losing their daughter and then finding out how she was actually killed and dismembered. It wasn't a stroke. It wasn't something sudden that happened in a hospital. And surprise, surprise, the former son-in-law, he's not dead. He moved on to marry somebody else. Wonder if he ever paid that judgment to wife number one. Let's talk about the parents, how they're tipping the scales of justice, maybe in favor of the prosecution. Let's bring back in attorneys Ben Chu and David Bruno. All right, Ben, what did you think of mom and dad here and what they did for the case?
I thought mom and dad were incredibly credible and sympathetic, and absolutely, to the extent there was any problem with the case, it really is very, very helpful to the prosecution. They have absolutely no incentive to exaggerate or lie here, and it portrays the defendant as a liar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure does, Ben. Yeah, pants on fire, Nick Casotis. It seems like these people were just so sweet, as Ben said, David, and this guy is just feeding them lie after lie after lie. Your thoughts on the effectiveness of mom and dad overall?
Yeah, extremely effective from the words of the defendant. Right, these are witnesses that come in, that bring in that very concerning statement that the defendant made to the parents that she's not coming home. How would he have ever even thought that, right? It's not a seizure. This is not someone that was brought to the hospital with medical related issues. This is somebody that was killed, bludgeoned, and then cut up and disposed of all throughout the woods. That's number one. The defense got a little sliver from this, though, because the parents also bring into the fact that he and she were in fear, because they testified that she was also in fear with him, and brings in this story about Jim McIntyre, which is really the defense. The crux of the defense is that they were in fear of this guy, Jim McIntyre, and that's why the defendant fled and lied and did all these things. Whether or not that holds water is going to be critical for the defense. And at the very least for the defense, the parents brought that in as communications that were prior to the death.
Right, they did, David. Let's look at a clip about just that. Here is Dad talking about concerns about their safety.
Had you ever heard any information concerning their safety being at risk, that being Mr. Casotis and Mindy?
Oh, yes, all the time.
Tell us about that. What happened?
Well, it was way back before they even moved out of Virginia. We were told that they had people who were after them, and that they had to be very careful what they were doing and where they were moving, and you had to be cognizant of everything that was around you at the time to make sure that nothing was, no one was following us or anything like that.
Was Mindy afraid?
Oh, yes.
Did you believe she was afraid?
Yes, very much.
Ben Chu, last question to you, please. Based on mom and dad's testimony, did you walk away thinking that perhaps this defendant had told his wife Mindy some lies while she was still alive and moving around from place to place with him?
Julie, that's a great question, and I think, yes, that's the logical inference.
Mm-hmm. It makes me so sad. I know it does you too, Ben and David, because this woman, she's in the prime of her life. She's beautiful, successful. She's so happy to be married. And then it just seems like he had her gaslit is the way that's the picture I'm getting. I think there was a lot of gaslighting going on. Oh, I'm almost out of time. I'm being told we got to wrap up. You guys are wonderful. I could talk to you all day. David Bruno, Ben Chu, thank you both for all the great analysis. Have a wonderful weekend. That's all for this episode of Opening Statements, my friends. I'm your host, Julie Grant, and it's been great being with you. On this show, I am calling out any pants on fire moments in our big trials and true crime stories, and I want you to come along with me. Opening Statements is live every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern on Court TV. Thank you for downloading this episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. You can watch past shows anytime you like on CourtTV.com.